When Leon Major asked his friend David Renton to join a new theatre company he was founding in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Renton's first reaction was, "You're kidding. Halifax? Who would be so mad?"
The inspiration for Neptune came from my travels around Europe, where I learned about the theater, ensemble acting, and creation of companies. And at that time, there were very few, if any, companies in Canada.
I had never heard of Neptune Theatre, being a young student, so we asked our professor.
I never thought of myself as an actor, and I was very excited when I went to see some of the first productions at the Neptune.
Neptune to him was like the pillar on one side of a proscenium arch. So he says Neptune on one side, and on the other side we have the Vancouver Playhouse holding up a proscenium arch across this country.
Transformational experience, for sure.
My first experience with Neptune Theatre was growing up in Amherst. As a kid, I was going to elementary school.
My first experience of Neptune was this fantastic show, Cats, this amazing show that's withstood the test of time, but also with knowing that the actors were of this caliber, this London caliber. It blew my mind.
I thought these people were from another planet. I hadn't seen the actors up close, and there they were in my school.
My first experience was the amazing Endgame by Samuel Beckett. I saw it when I was 16, only the second time I'd been in Halifax, and it had John Neville and Rolly Hugo. It was mind-blowing, life-altering.
I was sitting in the orchestra and I could see the plaster trident and Neptune up on the top of the pros. It was really cool, and I got hooked. I was just hooked.
I had no clue what I was in for, no idea. All I knew is that it was an adventure. And there's one thing I can't resist, is an adventure.
It was great working with each other because it got a lot of anger out, because it was yelling at the top of your lungs and swearing, and it was great fun. Yes, my dear.
I loved doing Mrs. Van Daan in The Diary of Anne Frank.
We had several people there, 3 in fact, who were Holocaust survivors, and that was the first time I'd ever met a Holocaust survivor. So it was just really something that touched me.
Shows like Beauty and the Beast, which ran, I think it became the longest running Neptune show in its history.
Romeo and Juliet was certainly an interesting, and West Side Story, doing them together in the same season was certainly a highlight for me, because the intertextual connection between the two.
I have to tell you, my favorite production at Neptune was The Goat, or Who is Sylvia? It was fantastic.
I've seen Les Mis on other stages, bigger stages out there in the big world.
Les Mis was a production that just stood out and was as good as the one I saw wherever it was in Toronto or New York.
It felt like you were seeing something on a bigger stage.
It just blew me away.
Chance to work on brilliant material with brilliant people who I can claim as peers.
So what I love about the special experience about coming to Neptune is the intimacy when you come here.
They had this breadth, that they were willing to do shows that took risks, that they were really willing to do shows supporting local writers, local theater companies.
You're never too far away, you're close, that you can see the expressions on the faces of the actors and really feel and see the passion and determination that they do when they're doing their art on stage.
I started dreaming about the day I would come to Halifax and work at the Neptune Theatre, and That's when I fell in love with this beautiful place.
I fell in love with Neptune Theatre very easily and very deeply.
And I remember sitting in the back row of the theater for one of the rehearsals, and it was one of those moments where I literally, in the moment, lived in the moment and went, wow, that's my play on stage at Neptune, and Mickey Littman is saying my words, and that was magic to me.
It's so magical when you're that little nerdy theater kid, you know, to be able to come and see the big, beautiful shows on the stage.
Oh, well, I think I fell in love with Neptune with just the whole magical concept of it, the excitement that was building towards the opening of this theater, knowing that I was going to be a part of it.
Watching it, I want to be up on stage when I see the play. I love being there after the lights have gone down.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. When David McClellan was the narrator and he was improvising with the audience, he made me laugh so hard.
It gives me joy. I get to be an actor for a living. I get to be on that stage and perform to 479 people.
There is a moment that happens on stage where you actually can hear a pin drop.
If you're in an audience watching a performer, you have a part in that play. You are affecting how that performance goes.
People sitting there looking at you, waiting for you to breathe so that they can breathe with you.
There's no experience like that apart from theater.
Would I say a marriage takes work? It takes a great deal of work, for sure. My wife's been working on me for years.
I had our relationship with Neptune, and it had all of the the ups and downs that any meaningful relationship has.
As high as those challenges were, we all put the shoulder to the wheel and created, I thought, wonderful theater, and the audience responded. It took a while, but eventually Neptune became part of the city life.
It was often very difficult, it was fraught, but always with the idea of driving forward and having some vision.
Creating magic's always challenging, isn't it?
But we are a family, and I find that very helpful because I feel I'm not alone.
As president of the board, I think my favorite thing is to be able to work with the staff and the artistic folks at Neptune, the directors, actors, that bring this place to life and bring what happens on that stage to life.
Neptune has, and had then, and has had for most of its history, a great national reputation. And so, you know, it was a beautiful girl that should have had a nicer dress.
It was really, really clear to the people working in the building that it was falling apart.
The theater was much more primitive in terms of technical equipment. We had no air conditioning. We had our technical facilities were almost ludicrous.
I mean, literally the plaster was falling off the walls.
We didn't have a rehearsal room. I would go literally from church to church, from public building to public building, knock on the door and say, do you have a room we can use for rehearsals? And say, well, you can come in Monday and Wednesday, but Tuesday the Girl Scouts are in, so you can't have it.
Because it was the Andrew Cobb fabulous proscenium arch with like best dimensions in the world in terms of focusing on an actor. There was a desire to preserve that little theater.
This perfect little jewel box stage with gorgeous acoustics, to work with top-notch people.
It's fabulous to see the new building, to see the studio theater, to see proper dressing rooms and proper wardrobe.
I would say the studio theater is something that I'm very, very proud of. I'm happy that it's here. I'm happy that it's here as part of Neptune. I'm also happy that it's here for the community.
Shows put on by One Light Theatre, shows put on by Zupa Theatre. That's when I fell in love with Neptune.
Regional theaters need to be cultural leaders. So you need to actually invest in the community. You're investing in the art and you're investing in the future.
My favorite play that I saw at Neptune was Peter Pan.
What I remember was watching it, and the music happens, and the windows open very quiet, and then Peter Pan flies in, and some kid in the balcony screams out, "It's 3D!"
I fell in love with Neptune Theatre when I was about 7 or 8, I guess, when for Christmas my parents had bought me tickets to go see Cats.
The cats and how they would come down the auditorium and surprise you, and I was ecstatic. And then when we got home, I started singing Memories. And my mother thought, okay, so this is gonna pass.
It was the most magical thing ever, just seeing everyone come to life, and it was like, these are real cats.
2 weeks later, Memories, all alone in the, okay, I'm guessing she liked it. All alone in the moonlight, la 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 la. Well, I think we should look at some lessons here.
Without the Neptune Theatre School, I definitely would have had a much different trajectory in my life.
Just having everyone doing what we love and being able to be a part of a family on stage and being part of a real family, it was really cool.
There could be another little tiny Andrea theater nerd sitting in the audience, just like falling in love with it all over again. A cycle.
I think Neptune has a really strong relationship with its community and its audience.
It's windows in the downtown. You can look in. It's not this closed off thing that we can't be a part of, that only certain people can be a part of. The outreach is like the windows. It's letting people see in and letting people be a part of what's going on here.
I think Halifax would be a very sad place if Neptune wasn't here. It's been around a long time, and I think it means a lot to a lot of people.
I'm proud to have been a part of this remarkable journey. I'm looking forward to the year 2012 and the 50th anniversary celebrations. Perhaps I might realize an ambition to play Lear at the character's age of 80 years. I intend to try for it. David Renton.
He just had a great view of life, and he was totally dedicated to the theater. He worked terribly hard, not only for Neptune Theatre, but for theatre right across Nova Scotia in developing young talent. He was a great gift.
Halifax without Neptune Theatre would feel empty.
I think if Neptune wasn't here, it would be like Halifax had a hole in its heart.
Without Neptune Theatre, Halifax would be a desolate, joyless place where strangers do not make eye contact and smile at one another in the streets, and mothers would not love their children.
In order for a theater to survive for 50 years, there's got to be great organizational skills.
It's got deep, deep roots, which, you know, many of its patrons have been here since it opened.
I hear people saying, oh, when I was, 8, I saw a production of Oliver, and it's become such an important part in people's lives, a remembrance.
Any business that survives anywhere for 50 years has got to have great leadership, great productions, and it's got to be focused on the needs of its customers.
Stories of adversity, stories of triumph, stories of falling in love.
It's totally where the magic happens. I mean, every time we go to the theater, it's just like, oh my gosh.
It's exciting. There's so many things that could happen in one night that you never know what really is going to happen.
Communal group are all waiting for that first visual or first visual image or that first audio cue, something that's going to take us to another world.
And somebody sometimes giggles, and it's the right thing, and that gives us permission to laugh together, and sometimes you can hear someone sniff because they've been touched.
There's nothing quite as cool as when the lights go down, either in the studio or Fountain Hall, and you have that one unique evening's experience.
Happy 50th anniversary, Neptune Theatre, and please join us for our celebration.
Happy 50th birthday, Neptune!
You were here before the two of us, and may you be here long after the two of us.
Happy 50th birthday, Neptune. Here's to another half century.
Happy 50th anniversary, Neptune Theatre, and here's to 50 more.
And may you rock the way you've rocked the last 50.
Great 50 years. Great on you, Neptune. It was wonderful to be a little piece of that. Cheers.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy 50th birthday, Neptune Theatre. Happy birthday to you.
Happy 50th, Neptune.
Happy anniversary, Neptune.
And thanks for keeping us entertained.
Beautiful, beautiful. I loved it. Please have me back. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Neptune Theatre.
For all you do and continue to do for the theater community here in Halifax.
May the road rise up to meet you, and may the wind always be at your back, and may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
I've enjoyed all of your first 50 years. I hope to get a good chunk of your next 50 years.
50 years!
Happy anniversary, Neptune. Here's to another amazing 50 years. I wish I could still be here when you're 100.
Happy 50th, Neptune. Smooth sailing, but not too smooth. Lots of interesting weather, too.
You're all.
Happy 50th, maybe 150 more years. God bless you.
I look forward to being here for the 100th. I'll be 94.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Here's to 50 more fabulous years.
Happy anniversary, Neptune Theatre. May 50 be just the beginning.
Neptune, you're one of our favorite things, and you make us feel so glad.
Here's to the beautiful Neptune Theatre. What a lady. Thank you. To the future.
Happy anniversary, Neptune Theatre. Here's to the next 50. No, here's to the next 100 years, and to all the people in the last 50 who have made it a dynamic part of the community.